first day we open the door, one of the students puts his hands up and says, "Okay, I'm dyslexic, where are the rest of the dyslexic kids?"
Good morning. Shoes, what about good morning?
Our kids come to us and a lot of them have had war wounds. You know, either they've had bullying, they've had traumatic experiences, they felt like they couldn't learn.
I got held back once in P3 because everybody was a lot smarter than me, so they got to move on.
It was suggested that she should go on medicine for ADHD.
I'd be very drowsy.
It took away her personality to the point where she was lethargic. She didn't eat. It was not a good time.
I spent many years just sitting in my classroom doing absolutely nothing.
Eliza had been in primary school, P1 through 6, not being able to see any print.
I'm not sure of the exact name, but basically what it does is it affects my vision, so it's not the outside of my eye, it's the inside.
My name is Joshua Kelly. Welcome, Kelly, and I am 9 years old.
So Joshua has Prader-Willi syndrome, which is a very rare genetic disorder. He is just a very happy boy. He is very in love with airplanes and talking with people.
My papa takes me to the airport. I always love to see planes take off and land.
As he got older and approached, I think, that P1 stage, then we started to realize that reading was a very big difficulty.
We had to get extra reading, extra math. We had to fight with the school for a space after school, before school, and we were frustrated about the fact that she wasn't being cared for. She was being more of an inconvenience for them.
We had picked it based on the fact that we thought that school allowed independence of learning, but it is independence within a certain structure as well, and that structure just stopped working.
A lot of times behaviors aren't just because there's a problem with the student, they need more support.
He would lock himself in the bathroom and refuse to come out. School was that difficult and it was an escape.
We had decided to
she was
stop.
off the medicine. She grew like 2 inches and put on some weight
The
because she
appetite
was
was
starting
back.
to eat. Yeah, and the old Kelsey was back.
Back.
Really, we wasted a lot of years on this medicine because she didn't grow in school.
It's very difficult for a teacher in a traditional environment to have 15 to 20 students where he or she has to meet the needs of all of the students and differentiate instruction.
At the other schools, they would explain it, and then you'll raise their hand, and then you'd say, "I don't understand that," and they'd say, "Then ask a classmate," and then they'd explain it exactly how the teacher explained it, and then you're just in the dark about everything.
That's where most parents start. They take their children out of public school or private school and they say, "Oh, you know, I'll just try a homeschool because my child just needs a smaller classroom size." That isn't all they need. They need someone who has the knowledge to be able to teach them in the way that they learn.
It isn't just about coming to work and teaching a student, what nouns or, adjectives or verbs are, or multiplication facts. It's basically looking at their overall health and well-being.
It's everybody getting what they need, not everybody getting the same thing. That's the most important part.
My daughter Kai has something called auditory processing disorder. And when Kai was about 4, I decided I wanted to move back to Bermuda. I was homesick. So I moved back to Bermuda and I was shocked at the lack of services for children with learning differences. I was just the desperate parent who was trying to find help and a fix for my child. And I just happened to meet Lindsay and then eventually Cindy. Thank goodness.
I didn't like school. I had OT, I had speech, I was teased, always on the outs.
I wanted to be a teacher for the kid like me. I had learning support, I had speech therapy.
And so we started putting together a learner profile and thinking about, could we really do this?
And it couldn't just be a school, it had to be a community.
It was as much them interviewing us to see whether he was the sort of student they were looking for, because they were very clear from the beginning. They were looking for children who had diagnosed learning differences.
By the time she came here, she did not want to go to school.
She was able to fool people that she could do certain things when she really couldn't. So when I started working with her closely in writing sessions, she would just shut down. It went from, I can't do it, to, you're not helping me. And I just said, I'm going to be here for you. She had a whole different style of writing that didn't meet your typical kid. She'd rather illustrate first than write. Whatever she could get on paper was fine. And little bit by little bit, her body language changed. It was a miracle to see happen.
I used to be horrible at math, and now I'm like better. I used to suck at reading, and now I'm so much better at reading.
You know, he came in, he was one of the smallest kids in the class, and he was anxious, he was nervous. For him, his reading has come so far.
I love to read books from these containers.
We couldn't believe it when we saw the amount of work that came home. It was very significant that someone was obviously paying attention to him. He wasn't falling through the cracks.
If something happens, we can pull him aside and say, hey, what's going on here? What happened? Talk to me about it. What do you think we could do different next time? Okay, let's try it. We can do that here because our ratio is so small.
They're very agile. If your kid is going along a path and then all of a sudden there's something here, they do not hesitate to whoosh.
Before I had to do what I could, which was put the paper up to my eyes as close as possible and try reading it that way.
We found this video magnifier for her that not only allows her to see print on the page, but she can flip around the camera and she can see things that are on the board. I'm really pleased that now she's able to navigate herself through the school day.
I just love that this is the closest, I feel right now, that this is the closest that I've ever gotten to being a normal school child.
I would call up Miss Lindsay, do I need to do any homework with Kelsey today? No, we weren't doing it at school. She does schoolwork at school. I'm like, thank you.
That is probably one of the most stressful things for a parent with a child with learning difference, because your child learns differently and you are not specialized to teach them.
When she came home, she could decompress, she could enjoy her afternoon. We could enjoy being with her.
We had a family come and say, can you believe we played a board game as a family on a Thursday night?
When you come to CCL, it's not a fight. You're not fighting to get your child diagnosed anymore. You're not fighting to get, I need a power for my child, and I've been fighting for 3 years to get that. It's no longer a fight. So it really becomes what school and home should be. It's a partnership.
I get emotional when I talk about this because I'm so passionate about it. But I get so happy that when we get parents in here who all of a sudden go, there is a place that my child can go.
When we pick him up, therapies are done. It's not something we have to drive to Hamilton or St. George's to catch up with.
When he has extracurricular activities, then they're just normal activities, like he does violin.
If half your class is getting speech therapy, it normalizes it. We call it finding your people. We group the students by skill set, not by chronological age. And that's really important because we want to fill in the gaps. We only teach them what they don't know and then move them forward.
They were going to do the IPC curriculum, which is very hands-on, very thematic.
It's kind of a curriculum that gets kids out of their seat, onto the floor, working in groups, communicating, working on social skills.
We're learning about balance right now, so we try to figure out rules of balance and ways to be balanced, or make sculptures that are balanced in form. And it's very different than the other schools.
It doesn't matter whether they're 7, they're 12, they're 14. We need to nurture children in order for them to grow, rather than putting them in a box.
They didn't see this as a challenge, as the school saw it. They saw it as a mission.
We need to change the conversation with how we talk about people with learning differences.
It cannot be all just about the people that can afford it.
Because of that charity status, we can open the door for these families. We can not just change the conversation, we can change their life.
They make me feel smarter than any other school.
Our hopes for him have always been the same as for all our other children, to discover his passion, his talent, and to go for it. And now we have the means to make that happen.
Oh, yes, that's what I'm gonna do. I will be a pilot.
I'd be an artist or a hairstylist.
Still to this day, I've been getting used to, knowing that there's help for me and knowing that if I need help that I can get it.
You have to really love these kids, because if you do, they'll know it. If you don't, they'll see right through you.
Miss Cindy and Miss Lindsay, those two very, very important people.
That's what it's all about. It really, truly is. I mean, that just is why we get up every day and we do this. And we try to get it right every day for every child.